Hello, my friends. John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at the Origins expansion, Ancient Wonders, and what that does for from the solo perspective to this game, Origins First Builders. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. So this expansion actually does not add a ton of content to the game one way or another. It basically has two main modules. Module number one are these 8 buildings, and what these buildings do is, first of all, they stay locked until the associated track gets to a level 5 or higher. As soon as it gets to level 5, you flip over this from the lock side to the available side. And that means you're available to reserve this at any time during your turn for 1 gold. You reserve it, you put it kind of off to the side, and then you can spend 3 stone to build it as a building in a configuration that would match the standard game rules for a building action. Okay, that's the main thing. Now, what do these buildings do? Basically, what they do is they provide a reactivatable power over and over again. First of all, when you place it, and second of all, when you reactivate it by building another building next to it. So in this case, had I, by the way, this is the end of my solo game here that I just finished up, but had I built this here, then on subsequent turns, as I built more buildings next to it, it would just continue to reactivate this tile. In the solo mode, or in any mode, you can only build one of these, period. Once you've built one, you can't buy the other one, you can't build the other one, and you only use 2 per game when you're playing the solo. The other thing that the game gives you are these tiles, which are basically end-of-round conditions that let you do something with regards to gaining victory points depending on what the situation is. So you can see here they are specific, very specific, and so specific in the fact that they don't really interact at all with the UFO bot. Okay, neither of these expansions really interacts at all with UFO bot. The UFO bot can't take them away from you. They can't benefit from them. And they help you score some points in both ways. So playing with both of them or either of them makes it potentially easier to score better with the UFO bot. In the training mode, it actually says if you play with the expansion, if you play with this, the 5-round expansion, you actually up the requirement to win by 30 points, I believe it is, versus the usual amount. And so that's pretty much it. It doesn't add any other more mechanics. It just adds specific end-round goals that help you score, and a couple of these more powerful buildings that can be reactivated again and again, in comparison to these where they're activated once and they're only activated again should you put a seat of power die that matches the color next to it. So that's pretty much it. The rest of the game functions just like the solo game did beforehand. There's no real rule changes or anything of that nature, and you can still play it in the training mode or you can play it in the UFO bot mode. And if you want to see what that looks like, feel free to find my video on this game, Origins First Builders, and watch it, because I did a straight up solo on it a while back, giving you my impressions. So let me tell you what I think about the Wonders expansion from a solo perspective. Okay, so here's what I have to say. First of all, I really like the base game. I like the base game because it's so constrained and because it is a game where your actions and what you choose to do are extremely impactful in how your score is going to be. You cannot play this game in a fat or flabby way and expect to have a tight, strong score at the end. It's just not going to happen. And I don't think that the the Origins Ancient Wonders expansion really changes that. You're still very much trying to do things in a very tight and concise way. And so from that standpoint, it's good. It does not add overall bloat. It doesn't add a whole bunch of stuff that relieves the tension. The tension's still there, and that's a good thing. But I will say that it adds almost nothing to the solo experience. Those buildings that you can get, these right here, this is the primary, adder, and it doesn't interact at all with anything from the solo standpoint. The goals at the end don't interact, and they almost seem weird that they didn't do anything from that. They did put in the training mode, but this game has been out for long enough that the UFO bot that was produced by Daniel Terzi, or David Terzi, pardon me. You know, I'm sorry. I feel like this was a missed opportunity from the designers here. I think, and this is my opinion now, what they should have done, and I know, take it with a grain of salt, is they should have added to this expansion, they should have added all of the UFO bot content. They should have added a player aid for it. They should have added a little board that you could use instead of the printout. It would have been very cheap to do that, just a simple board. And they should have added a way that the conditions that you put on there up the end game scoring, or at least something with regards to the UFO bot. I feel like there was a big missed opportunity. And from a solo perspective, I could honestly say I do not recommend spending the money on this unless you really love the game and you really just, you know, you really want to add some of those buildings, or maybe you really hate the end game conditions of the different things. But even in the normal UFO bot end game conditions, it was just 5 rounds. You know, you end after 5. Here you're still ending after 5. I just don't understand. It was like this thing was undercooked. It could have been better. The building powers themselves are pretty interesting-ish. They fit with everything else, but I also found that they weren't that much different than the actual buildings that come in the base game. There are little things here and there, but the only thing that was really interesting about them, to be honest, was that you could reactivate them several times, which is cool. It changes your strategy and such, but it doesn't really change the overall feel. This expansion in the end round conditions would have been even better had they done something to make them you know, integrate with that UFO bot. And they should have put the UFO bot inside with a small deck of cards or something like that, or a few tiles, because I'm sorry that I do find this UFO bot still pretty clunky to run. And I think it's clunky because you're still trying to work off a player aid like this. These kinds of things take some time to learn, and that's fine. But, you know, if you're going through the whole the effort to make it in, you know, an English language here, and this is printed in English, you know, as far as on the website, skip the icons. Just tell me in little bullet form what to do. Don't give me these icons. I don't know. I actually have been referencing something that someone else made, which has been helpful, or more helpful, to just get the job done, because it tells me in plain English exactly what to do. And when there's lots of conditions of what actions to take and things like that, when you're doing this, I think it's just easier to have that player aid. The rules also, I mean, they're still a little ambiguous in some cases. I still don't quite know, which, I mean, and I asked again, I'm pulling this over here. I still don't quite know what happens when the Archon goes from this space over here to this space. Is he supposed to go when you roll the die 1, 2, 3? And if so, does he count with no action in this space, or is he supposed to skip it? It just feels like this game's been out for a long enough time. They could have done a lot more with this, and I feel like they didn't. So I wouldn't recommend it from a solo standpoint. I hope this is helpful to you. Again, I still love the game, so I'm still going to be fine with it. If you didn't love the game in the first place, this is not going to change your mind. It's not going to teeter you one way or the other. If you like the game, but you're fine with the way it is right now, I don't necessarily think you have to get this at all, multiplayer or other ways. I would say it's actually probably more important to get it for multiplayer, to be honest, because at least it gives you some endgame scoring, and it changes those endgame conditions. It offers a little more variety. So maybe from the multiplayer standpoint, this is a win, but from a solo standpoint, I think it's a missed opportunity. So that's my honest opinion. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Whatever you decide to do in the future, I hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.